cooperation with academics. So with this, we'll start our session, and session 4 on project management, and focusing on specific subject of project life cycle and its component. Projects are having several key components. The components are interrelated to each other. Effective management of components leads to successful completion of project. Very basic thing. Let's understand these components. Project key components. While closing our session 3, I just displayed this block flow for giving an understanding that after the pre-phase of the project, there will be a project life cycle, and we'll be discussing this in the next session. The same is there in front of you right now. And we will start that project is having what you see is a project life cycle. Just below the project life cycle, you can see just below the project life cycle and what it contains, project life cycle, what it contains. It contains the phases of project. One is starting the project. Second is organizing and preparing the project. Third is carrying out the work which is planned to be done under that project. And fourth is ending the project. By looking at the 4 phases of any project life cycle, so these are the 4 phases of project life cycle. What you see now is the timeline. Timeline means actual time required to complete the activity. And broadly, you see that starting the project, organizing and preparing the project, they're almost same timeline. But the maximum duration is taking out to carry out the work. So the maximum efforts goes into executing the job. Next is what you see the diamond. They are called phase gate. And what is the purpose of this gate? This gate allows us to go to next phase if we have completed the activities assigned to us in this particular phase. That is point number 1. Point number 2, we have made all necessary requirements. We are ready to deal with the next phase. We have a clear plan to deal with this phase. So broadly, two point of concern. Number 1, we completed where we are in which phase. Second thing is we are good to go to next phase because we are well prepared for it. This is called something called the basic project life cycle. But these phases need to be supported by some processes. And those are called process group. So when you are in each phase, whether it is starting the project or carrying out the project or organizing and preparing, each phase is supported by a process group, which has been broadly classified as containing 5 processes within it. And what are that? Initiating process to start that phase, or the activities which are required to be initiated. Then you have to planning processes which will plan how the things will go in this phase. Executing processes that will support to execute the activity assigned in that project. Then the next will be monitoring and controlling process. Means what you are supposed to do in this phase, what are the milestones are there in this phase? Are you meeting those milestones? Are you doing as defined, as planned? And then last one is closing process, where we analyze that we have completed our job as defined in this particular scope or particular scope of this phase. And these 5 processes are supported with 10 knowledge areas. Each process and the knowledge area, they are interlinked with the matrix. We'll see that matrix subsequently. So the meaning here is, if I can make it in a more simpler understanding, whenever you are in a particular phase, whether it is starting the project phase or ending the project phase, any phase, you carry 2 briefcase with you. In one briefcase, you are having 5 processes, and in another briefcase, you have 10 knowledge areas. So whenever you enter into any phase, you enter with 2 briefcases. One is called process group briefcase, another is called knowledge area briefcase. And with the help of these things, you execute that particular phase. Individual phases are supported with the help of process groups and knowledge areas. Phase individually does not contain. Phase only define the timeline or the broad family of activities, phase. But the execution of that particular phase is supported with process groups and knowledge areas. This was a very simple elaboration which you will never forget in your lifetime, so that this will be remain with you as a focal understanding of this block flow of project management. Now we'll try to understand little more into about the each marker what we saw in our previous slide. So there was, first thing was there, project life cycle. Project life cycle can be predictive or adaptive. So the project life cycles are generally broadly two types. Our third type is hybrid of these two. One is predictive type life cycle and second is adaptive type life cycle. What is predictive type life cycle? Predictive type life cycle is scope, time and cost are determined in the early phase of the life cycle. Any changes to the scope are carefully managed, also called waterfall life cycle. Generally, predictive life cycle in industry also known as waterfall life cycle, where we clearly define our scope, time and cost upfront. That we will respect these 3 things. This is called the waterfall life cycle also. What is adaptive life cycle? Another name for adaptive life cycle, very famous name in the industry, is agile, iterative or incremental. The detailed scope is defined and approved before the start of an iteration. Adaptive life cycles are also referred to as agile or changeable life cycle. The basic thing here is that we'll take in this agile session in our next session, but let me just brief here. Agile approach gives a liberty to deliver the things in the piecemeal, short deliveries, not waiting for a final big delivery, and that includes the interaction feedback loop with the client or the customer, and you keep improvising. So a broad scope is defined in the beginning, but it is an incremental growth of the project where you are in touch with your customer on daily basis, and I'll say on continuous basis. Whereas in predictive life cycle, when the contract is awarded, the contractor will tell you, sir, you have given me 3 years duration and I will give you of this capacity refinery or this capacity of steel plant or this capacity, this much kilometers of road after 6 months or after 3 years. You will keep checking. Of course, I don't say that you are not checking it, but adaptive life cycle has a more flexibility than the predictive life cycle because it is being built in such a way that it responds to the changes or change requests from the customer more efficiently. That's why adaptive life cycle is very famous or very acceptable, highly acceptable as compared to predictive life cycle in IT industry and medical industry. Hybrid life cycle, as I told you, it's a combination. Neither you are predictive nor you are adaptive. You are the combination of this. And by the way, the project management teams are the best judge because they have to make a project management plan. So the project manager and project management team, they decide which life cycle is good to carry out our project. So this is the flexibility to be adopted in project management plan as per the teamwork of project management team and their understanding to execute the project most efficiently. Just quick reference here, I brought it because generally we get confused about this thing, that there is called a project life cycle and another is called product life cycle, and they are different, by the way. Project life cycle means it's a temporary endeavor. You have been given an assignment to execute a project as a project manager, and you will complete that project. But suppose you have been given a project to construct a toys factory. So you completed that project in 2 years or 1 year time. But after that, that toy is what you are preparing. That will be your product. And that product life cycle will depend on different factors. It has nothing to do with your manufacturing premises. It is as per the demand curve, as per the supply curve available for your particular product. So there are two different things, project life cycle and product life cycle.